So you think you're fast on Derwent Lakeside? Watch this video and find out if you're doing it right or you can improve. In the middle of the video, I'll take a poll to see how you drive in this track. But before that, the video will be split between A, S1 and S2 class. However, I'll give valid tips for all classes in all three parts, including the highest, so you can watch A class as well. Whoever would skip it, you know who you are. Starting with the Ferrari 288 GTO, which in real life is very fast, but in case of Forza, it's just A class. Let's start with the racing line. The idea in the first part of the track is to go as straight as possible. To do this, let's apex the corners and go from one apex to another in a straight line. Apexing means doing this, driving the inside of a turn, touching the apex to take the shortest possible path. From here, it's better to raise your foot to let the engine brake regulate the car's speed rather than braking, because it ends up making the car more stable. Be careful when leaving so that you don't hit the house. It's better to waste a little time going slower than being penalized. The next three turns are more difficult. In this class, it's good to brake just before the corner, go wide before entering and don't cut, that is, don't go wide after the turn because you have to prepare for the next one and you don't have time to pull the car across. Next comes a more technical corner. You have to brake a lot in a straight line. The problem is that the straight part is very short. Try to keep it well left before turning because the corner is sharp. After the turn, try not to get off to the grass to be able to accelerate hard, but if you get out, it's okay, just accelerate smoothly. Moving forward, after taking the jump, the two corners that come have to be taken as one, touching the first, opening and touching the other, but it must be done tightly, so the car doesn't slide out and hit the barrier. No need to be afraid of the next corner, gas it and run over the flag without fear and the car will stay on the track. There's a lot of space that I didn't use here. Then comes a fast corner where it's best to brake before it and to accelerate softly during the corner just to stabilize the car. In the middle of it, you can accelerate as you straighten the car and get ready for the toughest corner of the race. Here, you'll stay right and won't apex it. You then want to stay left and brake a little. You'll apex, brake while opening and apex again. As soon as you apply the brakes, you are gradually braking more. Release the brake and you can now turn the wheel hard and accelerate as soon as possible. Oof. The hardest part of the track is over. But this is the most intense moment of the race. It's a very long straight with corners whose only purpose is to bother you, because you don't even have to brake or even lift. At the start of the big straight, take the car left and then throw it on the flag and the car passes through smoothly and reaches the curb. It may sound simple, but in this straight, the most powerful cars take the lead first and further ahead the cars with aero are left behind. So it's good that you already have an advantage here before you get to this part of the track. Going forward, the more you can cut the flags on the track without sliding the car or hitting anything, the straighter the car will be and the faster you'll reach the finish line. So just eat some dirt and run for victory. Without further ado, let's go straight to S1 class. This time we're running a Bentley Continental GT. It's very similar to a GT championship car from other games such as Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo, with plenty of tire mechanical grip and good aerodynamic support. That's exactly what we feel when we drive the car. You can turn without braking at the beginning of the track and with much more speed. Up ahead we just have to let the engine brake hold the car so we can position it for each corner. Open before, turn and apex it and leave wide without hitting the house. Let's cut right here to discuss in the poll how you take the next corner. In my view, there are two ways to take this first turn of the sequence. Not braking, throwing the car all the way and using the aerodynamic pressure as demonstrated by the McLaren Senna and worrying about braking later on the turns, or braking just before the first corner and only carrying the speed through the next turns as shown by the McLaren P1. Vote now for the way you take this turn, and the most voted is probably the best way to do it. In the Bentley's case, I used the first technique since it has a huge wing on the back, and so I had to brake for the next turns. At the end of the sequence, the car has no problem cornering or positioning itself to the left while braking. Now, in this class, the most important thing here is to accelerate as soon as possible because from here we won't brake until the Lake Lodge. Now let's look at a series of reference points for triggering actions like turning into a certain curve. Again, after the jump, we will turn the car at that moment. By the next turn, you also begin to turn right beside a road sign. This is our point of reference. Cutting the turn full throttle, fasten your seatbelts for the takeoff, and take a hard landing on the brakes, letting go before the turn and accelerating only at that fast. But before continuing, let's change the clip because this other one I made was irresistible. Pay close attention to what I did. I stayed on the outside so I could straighten the car before braking. Look at that. And that's what you should do if you want to get good at any track. Subscribe to my channel because you'll have videos every Tuesday and Friday, so you get driving techniques every week if you've clicked the bell. Of course, you still have to practice using markers and triggers like this one, but when you train a few times you start getting the hang of it and just move on to the next class, S2. We're here with the McLaren Senna, but I find this class very insane. You have no time to feel the car and just react to the track like a machine, braking here, turning there, and just that. But surely you have to be so fast and precise that it serves to let the adrenaline rush through your veins. I want you to see here how close I try to get the car to the inside. That is, I try to apex as much as possible, and in this car, I don't feel like I need to take the car too far out when exiting corners. In this sprint, I didn't brake in that next corner because the car has a lot of aero, and I had to control the car in the next turns. But that said, I want you to see how it's basically the same thing as Class S1, but with much more power, so we have to brake on some corners we didn't need before. Still, the techniques of looking at reference points for braking, cornering and acceleration are still valid, but everything happens faster and requires more attention. I'm gonna leave you with the rest of the time attack, and I want you to tell me what was the mistake I made in this ending, to once again become racing legends.